Look at how you set up a payment in UBS Payroll. To set up pay details in UBS, you go from the main menu, you select the Payments option. Under Payment, there is the first half payroll and the second half payroll. Now UBS allows you the option to either choose to pay twice a month or only once a month. Now if your organization pays twice a month, then in the first half of the month you should use the first half payroll option to set up the details of the pay and also to generate the pay slip. And then in the second half of the month you use the second half payroll option to do the same thing, but it's to apply to the second half of the month. However, if your organization only pay once a month, then you should ignore the first half payroll and just use the second half payroll to set up the pay detail as well as to generate the pay slip. Now in this case, our example of Mr. Robert Tan, he's been paid once a month. So we'll use the second half payroll option. So you go into second half payroll option, select under Add and Update Normal Pay. This is where you will set up details relating to Robert Tan's payment for the month. So as you can see the detail of Robert Tan, so his basic rate is been defaulted from his personnel detail and he's been paid $2,500 a month. Now working days in a month, in this case we'll set it to 26 days in a month. Now on the left hand side of this page you will see the various different types of paid leaves. For example, you will set in here the number of working day that Mr. Tan has been to work this month. This is the number of days of public holidays, the number of days of annual leave, medical leave, maternity leave, marriage leave, compassionate leave, and hospitality leave. Now there's also an option here to allow you to key in your own specific type of leave. So this is configurable by you for you to use in your specific case. Now on this side of the screen are all the no pay leaves. So this will be cases where if employee takes any leaves of any of this type, there will be no payment made on those days. So this is the number of days where the line has been shut down and the number of days where the employee has taken no pay leave, absentee leave, and similarly you also have the option to specify your own no pay leave that's not being catered for by UBS Payroll. Now on the right hand side of the panel are all relating to overtimes. We will leave that for the time being and we'll come back to that later. So in this case, Mr. Tan, to generate his pay, we take it that he has come every day in a month and therefore his number of days of work is 26 days. And we will first of all take the scenario where Mr. Tan has got no allowance, no deduction, or any of the other settings first, and we'll come back to that later. So once you've set it, you apply Save. Now next what you need to do is go into Payment. On the second half, you need to run a step called Process Pay. Now this is a very important step in that you must run this step in order for the system to automatically calculate the pay relating to the employee based on the setting. So that means that each time you change any of the parameter, in order for the information to be effective in the calculation of the payroll, you must run the process pay step first before you go into the view pay slip. So as you can see for Mr. Tan, number of days of work is 26 days and all these other basic details has been defaulted from his personal detail screen. As you can see on the bottom here, his basic pay is $2,500. Okay, and there's $24 in terms of his EPF deduction. No, sorry, it's the PCB deduction. And then under EPF, you use $275 pen deduction from the employee and $300 from the company. And similarly, there's a SOCSO deduction of $9.75 from the employee and $34.15 for the employer. And this results in a net pay of $2,191.25 for Mr. Tan at the end of the month. Now this here allows you to look at the various different type of deduction or allowances that's been given to the employee. So in this case, there is no allowances given to Mr. Tan, but there is a deduction, and in the deduction takes in the form of PCB deduction of $24, and this is for any other setting and information that will be available to you. So this is to allow you to do a preview of the payslip. Now, in order to print a payslip to be given to the employee, you go into second half payroll again, and then select the print payslip. So print payslip, there's various different options that you can use. So you can store it by employee number, and you can print for a range of employee number or just one specific employee. So in this case, there's also an option to allow you to use various different payslip formats. So I'll leave the setting as X. So I'll select OK, and then I'll go into a preview. So this shows me the detail of Mr. Robert Tan with all the necessary information relating to his pay, and more importantly, what's his net pay. Now, likewise, you can also print certain government documents in relation to payment or payment at the end of the month. So, on the EPF report, you can print EPF Borang A. Okay. And when you go into preview, so this is the detail relating to Mr. Tan's Borang A EPF contribution for that month. As you can see, the employer contribution and the employee contribution. Now, similarly, you can do the same thing with SOCSO. So, under government, you select SOCSO report, and in this case, it's called Borang 8A. So, similarly, if you do a preview, you can see the contribution for Mr. Tan. Congratulations! Now that you've completed the first tutorial, you would have known now how to set up an employer using UBS Payroll, and how you can set up an employee's pay and to generate the pay slip.